am Iyandra Bryan. I am the general manager for a dynamic, fast-growing fintech company called Quantfury Trading Limited. And the name Quantfury actually came from the word quant. So the company was founded by a group of quants, traders, machine learning professionals, just people who had a vision and passion for driving change through technology. So what I do for the company is essentially, I like to say I do a little bit of everything. So I'm kind of like the executor to our founder's vision. So essentially the vision that he has for the company, where he sees the company going. He has this clear, I see the forest vision, and just is such dynamic, always evolving and always innovating. And so my job is to really execute that vision. I'm an executor. I'm responsible for some of the core functions of the company: operations, HR, corporate social responsibility, also legal, regulatory, and really just sort of bringing all the pieces together. So I think it's best to start off with talking about our mission, why we are even here, why do we exist? So we all know that the retail trading industry can be very exploitative. You know, if you guys have been following the markets at all the past, I would say few weeks or months, we've heard many stories about retail users going in, trying to open an account, trying to trade equities, bonds, and being sort of inundated with trading fees, trading commissions, being taken advantage of essentially, right? While billion-dollar trading companies profit globally. And so I think the retail trading industry has been known, even in traditional finance, as being exploitative. It's not something that we're proud of. And I think the reason why our company came into the foray was really because our founder had this mission to make it a lot more honest. And he said, you know what, if I can create a trading platform that's not so exploitative, that actually provides an educational component to our users, but that says, you know what, I'm going to take away all the fees. So we're not charging you any fees whatsoever, no trading fees, no commission fees. Then we can have this whole everybody's honest trading. So our mission is to make retail trading more cost effective, more fair, and a lot more transparent. We're very open with our users about, what our profits are. We allow our users to participate even in the earnings of the company through issuance of a token that we issue. And so Quantfury is really coming from that perspective. So we're fast growing. We have not been around very long. We actually started the company back in 2017. And in 5 years, we now have almost 400,000 users. We're growing every single day globally in more than 56 countries that utilize our platform. The platform itself is a trading platform where we deliver unmatched conditions. We essentially say that, listen, if you want to speculate on the market, you can. We'll allow you to trade various asset classes, and you'll be able to do that at the actual price, of the relevant exchange. So there's no additional fees associated with that. I think the obvious reason, and the reason you're probably going to hear a lot of broker-dealers and banks say, especially fintech companies that are now coming into the space that have alternative asset classes like crypto, is obviously regulation. Right? We know that when we look at jurisdictions like the UK, like the US, they're still deciding and talking. They haven't even gotten to drafting much about alternative asset classes like cryptocurrency. President Biden just a few months ago had a press conference where he essentially said, I instruct all agencies to now start requesting comment, and doing research on what your opinions are about cryptocurrency, digital assets, etc. Whereas the Bahamas had implemented DARE, back in 2020, the Digital Assets and Registered Exchanges Bill. So they're not in the process of soliciting for comment, right? Or starting to think about this topic that is very much at the forefront of every news channel that's on right now. But they've actually put in place a regulatory framework that provides such a robust sort of governance structure for us to be able to operate in. And so when our company was trying to decide, okay, where should we be headquartered from a licensing perspective? There were those jurisdictions that had regulatory guidance, but a regulatory framework was not in place. And we wanted something that was incredibly robust and strong. I think a lot of times when you're coming in under an alternative asset class, there's this false perception that you actually want to take the easy route or easy way out. And that's actually not the case. We actually seek regulation. And so to be able to have this framework in place, I think what's so special about Quantfury, and what I always tell people, is that we're actually a licensed broker dealer. So we are registered under the Securities Industry Act. We're also licensed as a contract for differences registrant. So we have incredible regulations that we have to comply with. And so that kind of makes us accountable, to our users, to the community, to investors, et cetera. So strong regulatory framework is absolutely one of the primary benefits why we chose the Bahamas. And under that guidance, and you would know some of these regulators, but having that accessibility with regulators to be able to discuss how you see the industry evolving. And I like to tell people that accessibility doesn't mean easy. I've actually worked with regulators, in Switzerland. I've worked with regulators in the Cayman Islands very closely. And I can tell you, the Securities Commission is probably one of the toughest regulators I've worked with. But there is this accessibility, this ability to say, I'd like to come in for a meeting and to discuss, this evolving asset class and what we see are some of the gaps currently in the legislative framework. You just don't see that in other jurisdictions, where the executive director is very open in welcoming and saying, okay, come in, let's have a discussion. So that's pretty positive. The second thing is human capital. And you kind of said it, right? Human capital. It's funny because my founder, he's lived all over the world and he is constantly amazed at Bahamians. I mean, he comes in, he's like, Iyandra, the taxi driver was so well informed and every person is just so impressive to him. And it just says something about the human capital that we have here in the Bahamas. We do have the highest per capita in the jurisdiction, but what makes us so special, and Gary, I don't know if you know this, but we're actually very high up in terms of education. So we're one of the most educated jurisdictions in the world. And so coming here, it's very easy to find someone that has, the requisite degrees, qualifications, the hard skills and the soft skills. So when you're looking at, okay, where do I have the best sort of formula and recipe to grow as a company? You obviously need a place that's going to have incredible human capital, right? We're going to be doing a lot more hiring over the next several months. And do we have the resources here? And we definitely do from what we see on the ground here. And then I think another benefit, and this is the third benefit, is really livability. So weather is great. And being a tourist mecca, we are not concerned that we're going to have any issues with facilitating business travel in and out. 3 hours from Toronto for us, which is important because we have another office in Toronto, direct flight to London. So this ability to be able to get air travel is good. Weather's good all year round. All these factors coming together really, really makes an ideal jurisdiction for a company that's dynamic and innovative as us to want to be a part of. I remember having some team members come and visit some regulatory meetings, at a bank I used to work at, and they were coming from a European jurisdiction, right? And we went to meet with 3 regulators. So we had back-to-back meetings. And at the end of the day, one of my team members said, I can't believe this. Like, I have never seen anything like this. Every single regulator, we were sitting in the boardroom having meetings with like all female members at the Securities Commission, at the central bank, even going to like the Compliance Commission. They had never seen anything like it. It was like, this is amazing. And so I think that, that makes me so proud, being in a country where there truly is, I believe, women are truly at the forefront, and so a lot of times diversity and inclusion is like a word or like a buzz phrase that people say, but the reality is it really being done or acted upon? And you see that all throughout the Bahamas. So that's exciting. So prior to, let's say, because this whole idea of even raising or sourcing funding digitally is not, something that we've seen historically. This is really like all in the past 20 years. Prior, entrepreneurs had to seek out venture capital firms or seek out traditional financial institutions to get lending, right? To get funding, to be able to source or put the fire under them, right? To light up their ideas. And we see that process was heavily manual a lot of times, and we have to be honest, business owners of color, underrepresented owners or entrepreneurs did not have access historically to that kind of funding. We had heavily manual processes. The process was not all the way sort of above board. It was fair, transparent. We all knew what was required of us. And so that's really why whenever you have friction in any process, or whenever you have a process where someone in some shape or form feels like the framework or the process itself isn't transparent, you actually leave room for someone to be able to come in and say, okay, how can we ease or minimize that friction? So we see that crowdfunding came in and said, okay, there's a huge hole here of founders who are looking for funding and they're not able to get it. So let's start up crowdfunding platforms, in order to be able to access funding. And we've had some successful businesses that have come through crowdfunding. So, and what's so great about tokens is you take away all of the friction out of the historical lending process and you say, we're going to make it more efficient. It's all digital, right? And it's all transparent. It's on the blockchain. Anyone can see what happens on the blockchain. It's accessible. And we know that it's not going to be changed, and I was giving a little talk explaining how the blockchain worked to a group of women. And I said, the one thing that I think is so great is, for example, a bank can easily alter records. Of course they won't, but they can easily alter records, and we won't know because we are trusting the bank to ensure that they maintain the accuracy of the records. Well, with the blockchain, the trust is an essential part of the network, right? So you also have this transparency that's present as part of the issuing of tokens and makes it easier. So you have efficiency, you have transparency, and also you have immediacy and speed. So this ability to quickly go out there. If you look at Quantfury, us being able to offer our tokens by essentially posting on our Twitter or on our social media and having persons be easily able to purchase tokens and have it applied, accessible in their digital wallet. It's in a matter of minutes, right? So the company is able to get funding that it needs to source projects. And a lot of times this is fostering innovation. The friction that's inherent within the traditional lending process actually stifles innovation. It hinders it. And so tokenization presents just some incredible benefits. And that's why we're going to continue to see entrepreneurs source financing through this method.